You're good.
You're good?
You're
Okay,
good.
great. So it's a good time. I'm quite passionate about technology in schools, and it's an interesting time. Yesterday, the front page of the New York Times was about Classroom Dojo. I don't know if anyone saw that, about concerns about kids' privacy and data being exposed. This morning, I heard that they're going to end ARIS, is it the achievement reporting tool, which they put like $95 million or something into. Yesterday, the FCC, the head of the FCC, talked about how broadband access for schools is becoming crucially important. So it's a really interesting time to be working and kind of involved in technology in schools. It's something that Drew and I are both passionate about. So as Michael said, we want to take a few minutes today. I have about 1,100 slides to go through, painful detail. There will be a quiz. But to basically talk about who we are and how we got involved. So this is Drew. He can't be here. He's a very handsome man. Drew is a vice president at Goldman Sachs. He's a Google guy. He knows Google inside and out. He's very passionate about that. Interesting fact, holds the underwater swimming record at his summer camp. Yeah, no, he did. Nothing to do with technologies. This is me. I'm Scott. This is my lovely wife, Kana. I work for a mobile security, she's a mobile security startup company. I was at Oracle for a while. My fun fact, I played professional hockey for 2 weeks, which is really nice. So you may recognize these two lovely ladies as well because they are the artistic inspiration behind the auction each year. So they also have been quite involved in the school. So just some real flash facts. First thing here is your kids are more adept or comfortable with technology than you are. 2 to 5-year-olds can make a phone call, they can play a smartphone game. We all know that all of a sudden your kid is getting on your iPad and you don't know where you are. It's scary. It is scary. But there's some things that we can talk about to empower and enable your kids that will make it less scary. And here's perhaps one of the first things. We think of technology as being a separate and distinct track within learning. Kids think of technology as an element of everything they learn about. Right? Think about how you use your phone. You use it for email, you use it for texting, you use it for social networking, you use it for whatever. You don't think about it distinctly. It's about the gateway to what it opens up to you. And that's how kids think about it. So the point here is that technology needs to be integrated in with everything that they're doing in the classroom. The second thing is computer games aren't all bad. And all good computer games aren't useless. In other words, there are educational and entertaining games that organizations have put together that can help people at various grades. I'm not going to get into iPads for 2-year-olds. Like, that's a whole other category of discussion, but if you're interested, I'm happy to follow up with you on some of the research I've done in that space. But you can see great improvements when kids are using games, using technology in a way that excites them and interests them. So with that as the backdrop of what's happening with technology today, Mr. Martin and Ms. Samantha have been quite passionate about empowering teachers. Empowering teachers to integrate technology into their curriculum, into their classrooms, so that they can expand the learning opportunities. So we're trying to find ways to do that. And it is a process. It's not like today we have the magic bullet where we say, here's how we're taking the Common Core curriculum, and integrating it in with Chromebooks and Google Apps, and voila, everything is perfect. It's a process. And a lot of the reading that I'm sure you've seen in parent books, it's all about failing, right? So we're going to look for ways to fail, we'll look for ways to be stronger, to integrate what we're doing into the classroom. And that's what we're trying to do. But a couple of really good examples of how we're using technology in the classroom. I have a daughter who's in kindergarten, and she's starting her pet study program. And so some of the things that technology enables is you to see your pet in the natural environment. We had a cheetah. What was cheetah? Cheetah was a
leopard gecko.
A leopard gecko. Leopard gecko. So when my son was in kindergarten, they had a leopard gecko. And of course, it lived in an aquarium, and it had some kind of constructed things around heat and lamps and water. It wasn't natural, but they learned to take care of their pet. With technology, you can open the door, even for kindergartners, to see what the leopard gecko looks like in its natural environment. So just an example of how you can open up some new doors. In first grade, they do restaurant studies. Those of you, I assume they're still doing this, but in first grade, when our son was in first grade, they're still doing that, Mr. Martin? Yeah. Yep. So we got to go in, the classroom became a restaurant. And the restaurant was Spanish tapas for my son. Right? Great. But they can actually get online, they can look at menus from different parts of the world. They can see art from just different parts of the world. They can explore the art of the possible of how they can integrate that in with what they're doing in the classroom. And of course, as you get older, providing real-time research capabilities. Being able to explore what happened in the Revolutionary War, or what have you, as a part of your unit of study, to kind of complement what you're reading with what you're seeing and what you're experiencing. And that kind of falls into the 3 categories of technology that we look at within the classroom. The first one is exploration. This is Google searching. This is looking up things. This is looking for the leopard gecko's natural environment or habitat. That's the most basic element. It requires the dexterity to type, the ability to use a mouse, or tracking pad as the case may be, and the concept of context to make sure you understand what you're looking for. Because if I'm searching for a leopard, I don't want to see a leopard being couched. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the animal, or I guess it's a reptile perhaps, I don't know a lot about leopard geckos. But that concept of how to explore it. The second one is experiential. I spoke with Samantha a while ago when she talked about how the restaurant study came to be. One of the starting points for the restaurant study was a dolly painting. It was a painting, or a piece of art, I forget if it was an art or a piece of sculpture or a painting. But it was that inspired the kids to want to do something around Spain, to want to do a tapas restaurant, to want to build, roles and responsibilities in that restaurant. And it was all inspired from art. So the experiential element of having a virtual tour. We live in New York City, we have great museums, but to be able to see what's in another part of the world is crucial and an opportunity. Finally, and we're not here yet, I'll be the first to admit it, but Google Hangouts, groups like Edutopia, are doing really cool things about virtual pen pal classrooms. Imagine you have a pen pal classroom in the UK. So there's a great story about a US-based classroom that was a pen pal with the UK classroom, and the US classroom said, why do you have such little content on the United States in your history books? And the British student said, because it was such a small part of our history. So, great context, right? You get different. So we're not there yet, but this is the kind of thing that we can be enabled. So let's talk about the investment that we've made. PTA budget is in front of you right now. It's about $25,000, give or take. It's about $25,000. And we spent it wisely. The first thing that we did was we outfitted the teachers with updated laptops so they could more effectively leverage their smartboards. So those of you who saw the election a couple of weeks ago, the midterm election, one of the questions was about smart schools. And one of the things that Cuomo is looking for is investment in things like this, like the connected classroom. We already have it, which is wonderful. So we have the students with the ability, the teachers with the ability to leverage the smartboards. The second thing is we now have 50 Chromebooks with another 42 on the way. Is that about right? So give or take 100 Chromebooks. Chromebooks are lightweight, really kind of durable and affordable laptops that are exclusively available to connect online via Google Apps. So we deployed Google Apps, which is a way the kids actually have their own folders. They can collaborate, they can share information, and nothing leaves the school. So in terms of security and privacy, it's all within the school. Okay? So these kids in 4th graders, 5th graders are learning very basic but important skills, like how to protect your password, how not to tell everyone what your password is. We think of that as being, of course you need to have a password, but no one ever teaches you what to do with that. So just like remembering your homework every day, you got to remember your password as well. So we've invested heavily in Chromebooks. We deploy Google Apps for education. Not only is that enabling our kids to collaborate and store stuff online, but as you'll hear from Miles in a moment, it enables us to power some really unique initiatives around website development. And some of the older kids are very excited about that. And of course, we're training the teachers. There's a big STEAM initiative right now. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. We like to say STEAM because it's science, technology, art. Science, technology, E is engineering, art, and math. Spelling is not part of STEAM, fortunately. But including art and creativity into the process is crucially important as well. So just a kind of a snapshot of what we're doing. I'm going to make this presentation available to everyone. 2nd graders are studying sea creatures right now. They're trying to understand what makes them unique, and they're going to make a donation to a sea creature fund based on the exploration and research they've done online. It's pretty cool. 3rd graders, case studies of cultures, the world beyond us. They're researching beyond the boundaries in New York City, beyond the boundaries of this classroom. 4th graders, history of development in America, right? 5th graders, studying current events that are affecting or influencing their student council roundtable sessions. All this information is coming in, all this information is getting processed, all this information is used to enrich the curriculum that's being delivered in the classroom. So some of you who have been here before have heard me talk about the Tech Posse, coolest club on the Upper East Side. So the Tech Posse is people like you. It's people like you who have some skills in technology and who want to get involved. And one of the Tech Posse members is Miles. And Miles, this year, as a kindergarten kid, he and his wife Tara have been very involved in the school as kindergarten parents, which we'd love to see. And I want Miles to talk briefly about a project he's working on with Miss Joanne in art around website development. Awesome.
Hi, good morning. Really brief, it's like 1 minute. just to give you some background, I own my own IT firm, so a lot of the stuff that I work on is IT consulting. So from the infrastructure, help desk support, and audio video stuff. So as I'm new, trying to get involved, just working with Scott with tech policy stuff, just trying to really implement some of the things that we talked about. It is a process. One of the projects we're working on right now is the website for Ms. Joanne, the art class. The idea here is to train Ms. Joanne how to build her own website using Google Sites. If it's successful, pretty sure it will be, she'll be able to manage it and also have a success story where other teachers will also be able to do the same thing, whether it's music class or dance class. And that's where we are. So right now it's in template form. Hopefully we'll have something. I don't want to necessarily put a deadline, but
I want a deadline.
hopefully by the end of the year, and then we'll go from there.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. So great example. For those of you who don't know, Miss Joanne is really interested in technology. She was the one who inspired the Hour of Code last year for those kids who took part in the Angry Bird workshop around coding. It was fantastic. So we're also working on a couple of other projects.
What was that?
So last year, every kid in the school participated in the Hour of Code, where for 1 hour they learned to code with if-then clauses, true coding, like real hardcore geeky coding on how to make an Angry Bird move around a maze. And it was incredible, and it was inspiring, and it was wonderful. I actually went into the classroom with Miss Michelle and did it with some, I think they were second graders, I forget now, but to actually see them enter codes and watch what happens and identify the issues and repair the code and using the format, it's just mind-boggling. And by the way, I did it myself when I went home because I just thought it was so cool to be able to kind of play around with it, and I have a certificate to show it. Just saying. Not bragging.
Scott, it's interesting to add that this is also what a lot of our 4th and 5th graders are doing in their Lego robotics class and their programming class as part of the 92nd Street Y. So part of the enrichment that we've been providing also has a science technology background. So it's not just art programs that we're putting into the classrooms, but also we're doing coding. They're learning HTML. They're learning how to program Lego robotics to do very similar things like the Hour of Coding is, and that starts in grade 4 and 5. And there's also, again, going to be another after-school program provided by a CASA grant from our council member to provide an after-school program for the upper grades. We haven't figured out the grades yet, but it will also center around coding, science, and technology. And about the Chromebooks, 3rd graders also have Chromebooks. Yep. You're actually going to see parents, the user agreements go home this week with the letter from Ms. Samantha and I. And the user agreement is just so everyone understands, because Samantha and I are very privacy conscientious. Kids are going online. We know what's online. So we're very, very cautious about what information our children have access to.